All right, everybody, guess what? It's Uncle Ed again. This time I have a really special guest. I'm getting out of my wheelhouse. You guys all been seeing my videos. I've been talking about all kinds of stuff because what I want to do is I want to love on you and give you some information that I feel is probably going to be at least a little beneficial. So for today, I am not only leaving my wheelhouse, I'm leaving California. I'm going to Texas with this great lady by the name of Deena Sisson. Oh, how about that if you know a little French? Huh? How you doing today, Deena?
Hi, Ed. I'm doing great. How are you?
You know what? What is it, day 900 or something that we're sheltering in place?
I know,
Or does
right?
it just feel like 900?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Oh man, I mean, nobody could have ever predicted that this would last this long. But you know what? The short answer is I'm making the best of it. And the good news is that I'm actually feel more productive because I don't have to get in and out of my car 7 times a day,
You're saving a
right?
lot of money on gasoline.
And time, which time is even more
Right.
precious than the actual
That's
money
right.
part. But so thank you so much for allowing me to just chat with you. You know, as you see here, I
Thank
have a cup
you.
of coffee on purpose because this is just a little bit of coffee talk. We're going to talk about the industry a little bit. As you know my
Oh,
background. I've been in this business over 20 years. And by the way, everybody, I thought I'd be in it for only one. Goes to show you, right?
it's
We
a
have no
rolling one.
control.
We talked about this.
Yeah,
Rolling
it's
one.
my rolling one. Exactly.
Yes.
It's been rolling for a long time. It's like tumbleweed.
Hey.
Tell us a little bit about you, Deena. And I know you are the CEO of MortgageTalent.net. And but tell us a little bit about who you are. I know that that's what you do, but who you are, as I've always said, is always a bigger, robust picture. But give us a sense for who Deena is and about your business.
Oh, well, thank you, Ed. Gosh,
Yeah.
where do I start? What am I am a mother. I'm a wife. I'm a friend. I'm a daughter. I'm God's child. I mean, I really value myself in those aspects first as a person. Um, I'd say people that know me will probably say that I'm a risk taker. I'm a little bit crazy in the risks that I take.
Uh,
I think this is probably why you and I are talking today, just because I really enjoy understanding, getting to know people, and networking with like-minded people that
mm,
really think big in terms of what's more in life than just what we do. Um, what do I do for a living? I specialize in recruiting and consulting mortgage professionals, just kind of coming from that world of 30 years. I hate to say it. I want to say 20 plus because I feel
wow.
younger when I say that. but as a former loan officer and a sales leader, I decided to put my focus on really helping people such as myself back in the day, and
Right.
to be able to help them find their calling, their niche, kind of connect the dots, between them and companies that they may not know how to go about pursuing their passions. And so I want to be that connector. I want to be that middle person. And so that's, I can go in more and more about that, but that's what I've been doing for about a year and a half now.
Okay, in a nutshell. Now, do you have any specialties? Do you specialize in certain ranks of mortgage professionals? Is a certain volume that they have to produce, or is it a regional person, or do you just cover every type of position within the mortgage industry?
Every type of position, but I'd say I personally, I have a team that works with me, but I personally tend to gravitate to loan officers.
Okay,
That's probably because I've, as a
you've
former
been there.
officers for so many years and a sales leader. So it just, I can speak the language. I can understand some of the pain points and some of the things that I would have wanted from a company. And so I think just naturally, I end up gravitating, more so in those capacities. But we've been fortunate to place people from executive leadership to ops, underwriting, you name it. But I'm a big believer of aligning people that have those strengths and that those passions that follow them. So I mentioned to you sales, but I have a couple of folks that love ops because they are
Yeah.
very process oriented. And so they have much more success in really having that discovery needs with candidates like that. And we just win when we're talking to people, that it becomes natural and not rehearsed, because that's really who we are, what we gravitate to, what we love.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, do you specialize in putting loan officers in the bigger organizations, bigger banks, or is it all the way from the top big ones that we all have seen, all the way down to the boutique, even mortgage brokers?
Yeah, that's a really, really great question. I think one of the reasons why I thought about like what drove me to even opening my own agency is because I didn't want to have any agendas that persuade
Mm,
me or influence me to hire for the sake of hiring because of who maybe I was aligned with. So to answer your question, no. And the reason being is because the way that we're set up, being a boutique, really company agency, what we do is we really listen to the candidate as to what they want, what don't they want, do they want a big company? Then we will go ahead and
mm,
first, source the larger companies. So rather than kind of sourcing for the company, I'm actually talking to the real life people, candidates, and then putting them together with the right companies. If we don't have
perfect.
companies, it's not difficult, quite honestly. It's not difficult to pick up the phone, and I'm fortunate to speak with one of my former colleagues or people I've known in the industry saying, hey, I have Ed Diaz, he's a superstar, you've got to talk with him, and this is why. And so I think opportunities open when you start out with people and not agenda.
Mm, I love that.
People first, then agendas later.
You've almost reverse engineered it, right? Because it's typically the company that will dictate, right? This is what I want. And a lot of agencies are more focused because the dollar amounts may be bigger. Uh,
Right.
they're more focused on that end as opposed to doing an intake and a discovery with the actual loan officer to find out what they want. Now, as you know, so much has changed in this business since
Oh
'08 and
yes.
that whole disaster. What have you seen? Do loan officers want these days? Because like I remember when I was working before I started my own company, it really wasn't about pay, believe it or not. It was more about, can you give me some speed? Can you give me really great pricing and give me products, because the volume will come. It's like being a good person, right? When you're good,
Yes.
goodness is a byproduct.
Yep.
You don't have to focus on money. You do the right thing, the money follows. So what are you seeing by and large? What is it that loan officers want today?
Gosh, that's a $1 million question, Ed, because I tell you, there's so many things, as you know, have changed
Yeah.
last 60 days and the needs. So what we've been seeing post COVID-19, and that is really loan officers are seeking stability
Mm,
because of the uncertainties, out there. Although refi market has been wonderful, it's been booming. So many have great pipelines, but that unknown, that unknown of what's going to happen beyond what's going to happen come to September, and it's now past that summer.
yeah.
Um, it's so loan officers are really seeking, number one, like strong foundations of companies that have not just shown track record of being stable, but what are they doing today to adapt to the new norm, and how are they gravitating to the digital technology? What are
Mm,
they doing to expand people's branding when they're working from home and they can't make these sales calls anymore? You can't be going to your realtor's offices and take them to lunch or do the lunch on learn. And so loan officers want to partner up with lenders that have those types of, that the foundation and culture first. Products, programs, pay, obviously, it's always important, but it has become secondary. Whereas, previous to that, I'd say that many of the loan officers, of course, culture is important, but the next question is, hey, tell me more about the tools and products and programs and how competitive are the rates. Those questions and those requests are on the bottom of the list in whole, a majority of the candidates that we're speaking with today.
Well, wow. Now, how about when it comes to transparency of the actual organization? Because, look, without mentioning any names, I've always felt like a lot of mortgage companies bookend people's careers, meaning they tell them everything they want to hear up front to recruit them. They kind of abandon them in the middle, and then they tell them everything they want to hear to not, so that they don't leave to keep that production. I call it the bookending of people's careers. How much transparency are you seeing now, especially now that the mortgage brokerage is back? It's coming back. I mean, fast and furious, right? We're seeing
Yes.
organizations like AIM out there that are really now becoming a lobbying power, a true one, and a unifying factor for a lot of mortgage brokers. And a lot of these wholesalers are starting to provide a lot of tools like free this, free that,
Yes.
UWM and Quicken and all these folks adding a lot of support to mortgage brokers. What are you seeing as far as mortgage banks? Are they becoming more transparent and really keeping promises?
Yeah, Ed, I tell you that the story that you described sounds like something that I went through. I think many of us have gone through. It's that the
Yeah,
unfortunate, you get married because really, I mean, when you are working for the company, it is a true partnership, and oftentimes it's your work marriage. And
yeah,
then 90 days later, the honeymoon's over, and you're like, is this who I decided to commit my my long-term right life to? And that's unfortunately that has been so common in our industry, which really drove me to do what I'm doing today too. Just to share that with you, because that's been a hot button for so many people, because it's
yeah,
time invested, and where people really were not transparent, and they just wanted to tell you what you want to hear so you can take that on. I do believe that nowadays, at least what I'm seeing from the companies that I do business with, companies that are shifting their mindset of having candid, authentic conversations with candidates as to what's going to actually allow them to be successful, which may include sharing the matrix of their P&L, sharing of, hey, we may need to talk about the office that you're working really in need for it. I think there have been more candid conversations in the
yeah,
last, 60 days, just because of the unfortunate, incidents and the epidemic that's happened that
yeah.
obviously has impacted the margins for the lenders. So I'm seeing that shift, which I think it is really is positive, because it allows people to make decisions and allows them to make those options. I think people just want to know what's the good, bad, ugly, and pretty. Just put it on the table and let me,
Yeah, the truth always wins, right?
right? Yeah, that's it. I mean, so yes, and that's something that we certainly, that's one of the things that we strive to gather as much information on the company, inside of what's going on, not just a brochure and the marketing, but also for the candidate. Like, we
Yeah,
also want to be able to share, the characteristic of the candidate, and are they in it, are they in it for the short term of the guarantee in the initial offer process. I think transparency has to be reciprocal. It has to be a mutual agreement,
100%.
one way.
Yeah. What are you doing to vet both the mortgage companies and then also your LO candidates? Because, like, for example, myself, I don't hire anybody that I don't put them through a disc profile, but not the shortened version. I'm talking about the long one, right? The one that comes out like 78 or 100 pages. That really is the extended one, because I want to know, not to micromanage it, so that I don't have to.
Yeah, I love that. By the way, this profile, I went through that too for my former company. Our vetting process is unique to each person and the position, because there are some positions that really require extensive vetting, which, for example, the executive leadership roles may require additional, or a sales leader with teams where it may require, which I was doing. I actually flew into the marketplace and had a face-to-face, meeting, interview, and also have follow-up discussions with the sales leader and the loan officer. So it wasn't just a simple phone call and asking quick Q&A, but real time. And, you know, whether we're gathering at their real estate office or their office or offsite, just to be able to gain more insight about who that person is or that candidate is. As far as the process, you know, the workflow, which I know you love the process workflow, but yes, of course, we have our traditional questionnaires that we've gathered, you know, over the years, quite frankly, in terms of like, hey, if I was the sales leader, how would I go about asking, you know, this candidate? So they go through a minimum of 2 interviews.
Yep.
And these interviews are on different days and time, you know, so that sometimes you may catch someone off guard in the morning and they may not be a morning person and they may not exude that energy that you're looking for, right? And so
Yeah.
or sometimes you may talk to someone at night and they might have had a really bad day. And I'm not making any excuses, but I think it's important to talk to people more than once. So we go through that process internally. Of course, we ask for references, but I think in terms of the vetting process overall, speaking with their family and friends, and not just their coworkers or their past employers, right?
Okay.
And so for a loan officer, I really love speaking with real estate agents. I do, and I ask permission if that's something. Sometimes it's confidential, obviously.
Of course.
So things like this. So sometimes some person will give me a realtor's name, and I'll say, you know, may I have permission to speak with them? And my approach may be different, Ed, where I could call that person as a potential buyer, which I'm always a potential buyer. So I'm being honest. I'm always a potential buyer for any opportunity because I also deal with many of my past customers and clients that call me for referral. But I'll ask that realtor, who would you recommend for a loan officer? Because they're gonna give me the people that they do business with, right?
Wow.
Give me hopefully number one.
That's such a great vetting tool. I got to tell you, that's very, very clever. I like it.
Yeah. So that kind of just at that point, it will, you know, substantiate and warrant, I think, it give the credibility of the relationship. There's so many different ways that I think that we have to do, you know, our diligence where, as far as a company is concerned, I will call randomly and talk to loan officers and branch managers and processors and straight up ask them, because I already have the company information. I have the material. I've already gone online. I know what their customer rating is all. I know what their BB rating is. So all that information is available, but you need to do more. You got to do more in depth as best as you can, and so that you can make that decision for yourself and your family.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what do you do on the mortgage company side? How do you vet them to make sure that that candidate is being matched up correctly for what they want?
So fortunately, the relationships that we have been developed and built on my experience. That's the good part of being in this business. 20 years, you know, and then obviously, so this is, you know, that my approach was initially is obviously to reach out to people that I know that have the ethics, obviously, and the work ethics and the integrity to go along with it. But we have expanded, fortunately, beyond just the personal people that I know in the industry. I love referrals. I love to ask you, like, for example, Ed, who do you know?
Right.
You believe would be an extension of you that you would recommend. So whether it would be a company or it would be a candidate. So our influence has grown in the people and the companies that we have built a relationship with because of the referrals, because it started out with one that grew, and we asked for referrals. And so that's how we've been able to vet the companies. And the same thing I just mentioned now, by just calling randomly at that company. So if I don't have any information about them, then obviously I'm gonna, if it's a loan officer that I'm speaking with that I think would be a good candidate, I'm gonna speak to another loan officer that may be in the same type of product mix and marketplace, that may be doing the same type of business or aspirations. And so I want to know, what is this one loan officer? How did they grow their business with the company? Is there a personal testimonial of how they were able to start from and build it up, right? And so I love gathering that information for someone who's newer with the company and someone whose legacy or tenure with the company, to be able to share that with a new candidate as part of the vetting.
Awesome.
I hope I
Awesome.
answered your question.
No, no, you totally did. Now, what would you just say to somebody? What would be your general recommendation for somebody who is looking to get into the mortgage business? Because you mentioned to me that you're even getting calls from real estate agents wanting to look into
Yes.
a mortgage career. But what would you say in general to somebody who's contemplating getting into the mortgage business, especially right now, post-COVID, right?
Yeah, I think it is a great opportunity. It really is right now for, new loan officers. I know that the average age of a loan officer, you remember, was it like 55 or somewhere in
Yeah,
that?
yep,
So
yep,
getting older by the day. And
yep.
so, and we are definitely, I tell you that the opportunity, the exciting things about current lenders right now that are going through the epidemic, they're actually coming up with the Fresh Out program for people that are brand new in the industry, that
Mm,
to learn, that want to develop their skills, that will get the proper training, and that will have consistency in being able to get support on a daily, basis. So companies, fortunately, are actually implementing these types of, I think, initiatives that is really diversifying, their portfolio and the way that they do business, because they understand that, what got them to this place, it's not necessarily what's going to keep them going. So they have to kind of change it up. And because unfortunately there's so many people have lost their jobs, they are looking at the lending,
yeah,
field as a potential. So what would I do? Of course, part of our vetting is this is where we do a needs discovery. Do they really need to be aligned with a financial institution, for example, versus a mortgage broker
broker,
or
right.
mortgage banker? Because it requires, for people who are brand new, it requires time and commitment and dedication for them to succeed, right? And so we will gravitate towards the lenders who will provide that type of a service
Perfect.
to make sure that those people are gonna make it, beyond the 90 days and going forward.
What would you tell a person who's already in the business, has been in the business for a while, who's thinking, should I stay where I'm at or should I explore with a different mortgage company? Because so many lenders are changing and out of this. The good news is that a lot of lenders that have that are really dedicated to the end user will come out of this, the 2.0 version of themselves. They will come out of this better versions of themselves, in my opinion, with
Yes.
stronger tools, more commitment to their people and to the people that they serve. Because let's be honest, if you don't take care of your own people, there's no way you're going to take care of the end user consumer, because that
Yes,
person's not going to take care of them. You
that's
have
true.
your first client, in my opinion, has
Mhm.
to be the people who work for you. What would you tell that seasoned professional that is wondering, asking themselves that question, should I stay or should I go? Like the song
It
goes.
sounds like the song. um, Ed, I'm a big believer, whether you're a seasoned loan officer or brand new in the business. I'm a big believer in having open discussions with other colleagues in the industry.
Perfect.
So I believe that from one professional to another, we owe it to ourselves to know what other companies are doing. And so
100%.
even if you are 100% happy, I think I admire people that are loyal, and I think there's a lot to be said about that. But especially now with so many changes that are beyond our control, that's worldwide, it would be not as smart for people to know what the options are in the marketplace, no matter what. If nothing else, open the door of discussion,
100%.
knowing who's doing what across the street. And not just for the opportunity that you may join them one day sooner or later, you may discover that you can do loans that they can no longer do, because, as you know, everything is changing on a daily basis with investors, and one
Yeah.
company may be able to do certain FICO score the other. but it certainly
That's
will
true.
open the door and the pool for that loan officer to be able to network with another company
Yeah.
in that regard. So my advice would be keep your options open and hear about what people are doing, and to build that camaraderie, build that friendship. And obviously you want to, be in connections with people that you admire, respect. And I think that is certainly going to help you develop and grow, whether you ever join that company or whether you ever refer anything. As a person, I learned so much just from speaking with you today that it's very valuable. How had I not had that discussion, I would not have gained that information. So that's my number one advice. Secondly, if someone has already made a decision to make a move, um, or maybe contemplating, maybe at that point they're just kind of like, am I with the right company? And they should be asking many questions. I think each of us should be asking many questions, period.
Agreed.
What's going on, right? I mean, are they aligned with the right company that will support them for the long term, not just for the short term? Do they have the leadership? Do they have the trust? Do they have the foundation that as a partner to help them and help their realtors and builders grow and succeed? What are they doing? How have they been able to adjust and adapt to the marketplace? What actually, the execution of any business plans that a memo had gone out and said we will do this, what has actually happened since those verbal commitments have gone out, right? I think those are the type of questions that every loan officer should be asking, and understanding that going forward it's going to be a long-term commitment.
100% agree. So I have my most important question of all. I saved it for
Ooh,
last. And here it
okay.
is. How do people get a hold of you, Deena?
Oh gosh, I love this. Okay, so they can certainly reach me on my cell phone, which I love, 714-928-6979, or go to mortgagetalentnetwork.net, and then, or they just email me, Deena@mortgagetalent.net. So it's one of those, and I can send you that information in case anybody gets a hold of you.
I love it. So if you are even thinking about entering, exiting, making a lateral movement, I think the best thing you can do, honestly, is to call Deena. Have a conversation with her, because she's not going to sell you anything. She's chock full of great information. She's got tons of experience in the business. She's gone through all your pains and trials and tribulations already. Who better to talk with than with her? So make yourself a note,
Thank you.
call Deena. And by the way, before you exit this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And to the right of that is this little bell. That bell is not static. Press on it, because that way you get notified every time I have a great conversation with great people like Deena. So thank you again, Deena.
Thank you,
Stay
Ed.
safe,
Thank
stay
you.
healthy, and stay indoors, as they say.
Same to you. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.